there, friends and sane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10 list, or some other board game related topic, whatever happens to be on my mind at the time. Well, as you may know if you've been watching Wednesday Whimsy for a while, I am buried under a mountain of Kickstarter games. I have so many new games coming in, I'm just trying to stay afloat. And that's a great place to be in, right? Because I love games and I'm excited to get new ones and learn new ones. And sometimes a game comes in and I, let it sit and percolate for a while. And sometimes I jump right on it. Well, this game's actually a little bit of both. I kind of forgotten that I had ordered it. The game is called The Anarchy. So, you look at this cover and it looks pretty boring. It's just this kind of old world artwork with some people attacking a castle. So when it came in, I remember when I first saw it, I was like, eh. And then when it came in, I was like, eh. And then I remembered what it was. And once I remembered what it was, it jumped right to the top of the queue. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Anarchy today. I'll tell you what I think. And, let's go. So what is it about? Well, I got to kind of look at the back of the box here. It is 1135, and King Henry I has died and didn't leave an heir. And Empress Matilda, his daughter, wants to lead. And there's a bunch of other people, and there's anarchy. As you're competing to destroy other people or claim the throne or something like that. It's the most generic historical theme you can imagine. Fortunately or unfortunately, the theme isn't all that strong in the game. But basically, it's some period in medieval English history when there's some anarchy. Okay, great. Well, so why do we care? And this is why I, kind of immediately remembered what the game was. This game is a follow-up to another amazing game that I really love called Hadrian's Wall. It's one of the best roll and write, flip and write, whatever it is, type games out there. And it's complicated. It's heavy physically. It's heavy rules-wise. There's a lot of moving pieces, and I love it. And this game essentially takes that same kind of format and puts a new theme on it, adds some new mechanisms, and makes really a new game about it. So let's kind of talk a little bit about how the game works. Let me share my screen here. All right. So the core piece of the game, of the Anarchy, is going to be your player sheet. And you're going to have two player sheets. And I have here's a picture of both of them. They kind of, one sits right next to the other. And you are, every round, you're going to choose a card. So you're going to draw, there's a draft of cards. And the card is going to give you some resources. And it's going to give you an end game scoring. It's called your path, which is something you can focus on to get some end game points. For example, this one up here, for completed keep levels, if you've got 1, you get 1 point, 2, you get 2, 3, you get 3. Keep levels are going to be one of the various things you can build and focus on in the game. They are over here on this sheet. For example, you'll see small keep, medium keep, and large keep. So if you build all three of them, it's a way to get some points. Once you get your, excuse me, I seem to be having a cough. You're also going to get resources based upon your resource production tracker. And you'll see these dark ones, they start already filled in. And you can produce a variety of other resources, depending on how you've built up yourself. You can get new yellow people, which are serfs, new black people, which are craftsmen, wood, which is materials, food, a variety of different resources you can get. And you can certainly work toward building up a great resource production engine. And once you get all your stuff for the round, you kind of just say go. There's not a whole lot of interaction in the game, except for one very specific point. But you're just going to start going, and you're going to start spending things to check things off. So, you might look over here at this sheet here, and it looks like this person's already built all of these. Well, let's say this person wants to build up a gate. You can spend a black and a wood to be able to would get two things that are shown. This is a point that will mark the fist will and your game, which is useful for defense. It's one of the ways that you can defend yourself there's sort of an attack phase at the end of the round. Okay, great. You might be able to, but maybe you didn't have a wood, for example. Well, I see. I can spend 2 yellow people or red people. I can cross off this box and this box. And if I do that, I get to build up my moat, but I also get a wood. Or I can, if I needed food for something, I can spend a yellow person down here and get a food. So it's all about kind of using the resources you have, figuring out what you need, and trying to get there. That's this sheet over here. This sheet over here is we've got tracks over here. And you've really got 4 main tracks in the game. Governance, and each one kind of is associated with a couple of bonus actions. Like governance, you get these resources by filling up the track, but also you can have access to the keep. You can have access to the mint, and the mint gives you, well, surprisingly, money. You've got spies. Spies are going to be something you can use to try and find out who's going to be attacking you. You've got a chapel, and with the chapel, you can just more patrons by combination of resources. And get and get a variety of different things. There's also this technology track over here in the middle, and you can always just spend a coin. It's coins that get you down here, and you kind of build in order. So from here, you don't have to build everything. You just, like, if I cross this off, well, I can now build the large crane. I'd spend 1 coin to unlock the box, and then I'd spend these resources when I want to build it. At that point, I get a yellow person and the large crane. And it just kind of proceeds like that. Now, there will come a point where you don't have anything else you can do. You're normally going to try and spend all of your resources. The exception, though, is there are the black people, the red people, and the blue people, which are like knights, warriors, and craftsmen. You can use them for defense. So over the course, at the beginning of the round, you're going to be given a series of attack cards. And the attack cards, I don't know that they are shown very well here. But the attack cards, assuming I can find some, well, you're going to have something that's being attacked. And in most cases, you're going to kind of know what it is. Sorry. This is a vicious attack. And you can see and also use red and black people as 1 defense, and you can't see it, but the blue people are 2. And the strength of the attack is going to be E. And every round you're going to have most of them that you can see face up so you know what's coming, and some that you see information on the back. You can kind of deduce where it is, or you can use that spy action to flip it over. And so you're going to look at your defense, and you're going to resolve each and every one of these attack cards. There's always going to be at least 2, and then it's 2 and then 3 in the second round, and so forth. And your goal is, of course, to try and repel the attack. If you use people, they're going to die. If it's just a piece of your castle, that actually doesn't get destroyed. So by building up your walls, that's going to protect you from all attacks for the rest of the game on that particular side. And then there's also this tactic, which is throwing rocks. If you've unlocked that tactic and you have rocks, you can use those sort of as a defense against this particular attack. And so you're going to have a series of these, and if you successfully defend them, then you're going to get some discontent is, of course, also this up here, this castle you can attack. It's another thing you can spend resources for, and there's going to be variable bonuses that are going to depend from game to game and round to round. And at the end of all of that, when everything is is over and everyone's passed after their final turn, you're going to tally up your points. And your points are going to come from these tracks. I tried to show them earlier. There was that fisting track. There's a bravery track. There's a ring track. There's 4 tracks that you fill up, and that's how many points you have. And then you get points from the cards that you chose throughout the game. And whoever has the most points, of course, will win. You also play it solo. It's fantastic solo. The solo has a campaign that I haven't tried. I've only tried the just sort of basic scenario, but I'm going to try the campaign because the solo is quite enjoyable. Anyway, that's kind of how the game works. So what makes it special? Well, this game is really fun, right? It's fun because it's simultaneous play, and it's very much multiplayer solitaire. I will say that. If that's a problem, okay, maybe it's not. It's one and into this and turn this. I'm missing that, but I have the ability to spend this over here and this over here, and if I turn one of these in, I can get one of those. It's really fun. It's very transactional. It's very, turn cube into cube, except they're meeples and not cubes. But it's really enjoyable. It's very satisfying. You're constantly doing something. It's just so good. Rules-wise, I'll say it's not hard to learn. Now, I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but really, what do you do on your turn? You just go, right? You spend your stuff. And when you get something new, you take it. And when you spend something, you spend it. I mean, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different little functions to learn, but you don't have to focus on all of them. You can just do a couple. And it's once you get past the initial rules hump, the game is real easy to play. And it's very enjoyable. It's also one of those games where the time just kind of sucks up and dilates, or however you want to put it, because I just don't notice it, right? I'm playing, I have a good time. And it's great. I like it from player combat, but I like you have these things you have to most of it. You can plan for it. Now, it's possible to be luckier and have, most of it kind of focus on one area, but you don't know that. You can't plan for that. But you do know what's going to come each round, and so you can decide, I want to focus on the combat, I want to focus on building up my castle, or not, right? You can say, okay, well, I mean, I can see how many negative points I'm going to take this round, but I can get a whole bunch more points by doing what I want to do and ignore the castle. I'm going to do that. Now, but I'm not saying like when you do sort of build up your castle, that's not like a waste, because doing that also gives you resources. Everything in this game gives you something else. And you feel like you just are constantly going until you've sort of tapered off and stop, and then it's time to sort of refill that hopper and go again. So, I think the game is special because it just doesn't feel, I mean, it feels only like one other game. It feels like Hadrian's Wall. And so let's some like being to learn, and I would call a maximalist game design. It's like the designer took Hadrian's Wall and said, what if we added a few things, right? What if we made this aspect more complicated? What if we added a couple more things to think about over here? What if we changed the way that people are playing our game and made it harder? And that's not necessarily a good thing. I said I enjoy the complexity of it. I enjoy the gameplay. But it's a real pain to pick this up from the rule book because there's so many different boxes and areas. Like, if you talk to somebody who plays Hadrian's Wall, more likely than not, they don't remember the gladiator rules, right? Because those are weird. Now, I know them, but I played Hadrian's Wall today, so it's fresh in my mind. There's just always going to be parts of that game because there's so many pieces. There's something that's not going to stick, and there's a lot of things that don't stick in this game. In fact, some of them I read and I was like, "What in the world does that mean?" I just there's this combat system in here. Never really tried it. Cards and then the and you can see there if yours through your shield blocks their sword, that's a win. Otherwise, draw again. That's weird. I mean, it's a really odd, clunky mechanism, and because of that, I don't think people are going to use it very often. Now, to be fair, again, I've not played with it yet. There's so many other things to experience and explore that you can say, okay, look, I don't get that. I'm going to do this other thing that's a lot more fun. And that's good, but it's there's just a few things that are bolted on. Also, I said I like the combat sort of at the end of the game, at the end of the round, but it's a lot, right? I mean, it's in Hadrian's Wall, there were these three rows, the three cohorts, and you flipped over a certain number of cards, and they either said center, left, or right, and you totaled up how many these things you'd filled off on each of those blocks, and you'd sort of subtract the number of arrows that went that way. So if you had three built up in the middle and two went to the middle, you're fine, no damage. Here, there's like some combat hits walls, some combat by and you can building. I mean, trying to get somebody to remember that is really one round through it, it'll make, but trying to explain those concepts and people, I've seen people seize up. They're like, how am I going to remember? How am I going to remember that stones defend against ladders and boiling oil defends against a battering ram? And to be fair, you can't. Fortunately, it's on the card, right? It's not like you have to remember it. You just look at the card. It has a symbol. You see this symbol. This is the boiling oil symbol. That means that's what I can use. It's well implemented, but it's so onerous to learn. I had a really frustrating time. I read this rule book and I was like, I don't even want to play that game. I'm glad I did because I really liked the game. But there's just it's so much bolted on that it makes the game seem more imposing than it needs to be. And I think that's going to turn people away. So I said a lot of negative things about it, but what really matters is this game is really fun. In fact, I went back and played Hadrian's Wall after playing this, and I'm like, I think the Anarchy's better. I those angles, but ultimately, I give them I really enjoy this. Kind of wish this were with somebody across the world, or just have it, keep track of it myself, because there's a lot of small things to forget. Like you get two resources at once, and you're like, did I grab them both? Did I double up? There's all that stuff. You could unintentionally cheat. You can make it harder or easier for yourself by forgetting something. And, an online version would help you with that. But I really like the game anyway. And I really think it's worth your time. If you like Hadrian's Wall, this is an easy, just go out and buy this. This one is great. You're going to love it. It feels like Hadrian's Wall if it were a little different, right? And look, it doesn't replace Hadrian's Wall. I do like it slightly better, but Hadrian's Wall is pretty good too. What it has is the solo campaign, which I haven't tried yet, but I think that's going to be great. And I didn't mention there's like a whole bunch of scenario cards, right? I mean, there's sort of the basic scenario, but there's just 100 cards or so of different kind of scenarios you can play, which are going to change those keeps and things. I think this game has a lot of legs to it. Like Hadrian's Wall, you'll like it. like games, you'll love this. I would say, maybe learn from somebody the rule kind of experience. Also, this box, it's just because it's full of paper. They do sell a dry erase sheet, which I have. I haven't used yet because I didn't come with pens, and I didn't want to take pens out of another game. But that's a possibility too. Anyway, I will say Hadrian's Wall is one of my favorite games to travel with because I can set it up and play it really easily. This one's gonna rival that, and I really think that this game has a lot to offer. Look, dumb theme, way too complicated, but so much fun. Go out and give it a try. And that is all I have for you today. I'm going to wish you, until next time, I'll wish you safe travels, courage when you need it, and I hope to see you back again next week for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.